Hey everyone, I'm gonna see who else is trying to get in here.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It is Monday, a little after 5. I'm sorry for being late. I just got off of the past CUP subcommittee meeting, and here we are. While I was on that call, I saw Ginger responded with her comments on the history piece. What I did to set the stage for this conversation this afternoon is I took the time in between phone calls to create a master document of everything that Sub E is doing, and I will send that to you after the meeting. In fact, what I'll do is just share that now, and you can see what I did as a starting off point for this discussion. Because I think we've got a lot of work to do, needless to say. The other thing, oh my God, here goes damn internet again. So I'm going to bless you by taking off my picture.
Sam, you're muted, but we can still see you.
Okay.
Now we can see and hear you.
What I'm going to do, Millie, is send this to you, this
Okay.
report. And then you're going to have to see if you can share it on your screen.
No problem.
So 1 second, I'll send it to everyone, but.
Okay, well, we'll give that a few minutes to send and I'll pull it up here as soon as I get it on my end. But do you want to?
You should have it now.
Okay.
Or any second, and then you
Any
can
second here.
do the whole thing.
Okay. We'll give it here a second.
While you're waiting, did you want to outline what was our plan for the agenda, which may be changed based on the current state of
Yes.
stuff?
And I apologize for not getting like a updated agenda sent out right before this meeting. That just didn't quite happen. But it really doesn't change since the last time you guys saw it. We're going to go through and look at the history document as is with the comments back and forth from Ginger and the edits that Mark and Marge made, and looking at kind of where that is and then what product we're going to put into the full work group report to be sent out on Wednesday. And then looking at the actual subcommittee E report, both its final report and then the part of that will be put into the work group report also to be sent out on Wednesday. Saw that Mary and Louisa, you guys did some of the editing, added in that rough introduction and conclusion. Want to say thank you to Louisa for looking at the land use statement stuff. We were going to have the person from county works with media and outreach to do kind of looking at the wording for that, but the fact that she pulled up stuff and sent that out was appreciated. And then let's see if it's coming. Ha ha ha.
Who's looking at it from the county that does the media and outreach stuff?
Sorry, not you, Corey. It's what's her? She was mentioned here at the last meeting, and I'm totally drawn a blank on her name.
Johnny?
No. Here, I can pull it up in their email.
You worry on the.
It should be Johnny or I.
It's not Genevieve. It was somebody from your new diversity, equity, and inclusion hire.
Okay. Yeah, that's a different topic than what you described, Millie.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's equity, diversity, and inclusion. I want to make sure that we're on the right track with stuff. So she's reviewing it for EDI content, and that's great.
Yeah, my apologies. I misspoke. Didn't mean to cause confusion there, Corey.
No worries.
All right.
Hey, before you get started, Stam, I just wanted to jump in real quick. Again, thank you guys for all your work. And I'm not going to stay for the whole meeting, but I did want to jump in again and see if there's anything that you guys are going to need from me this evening.
Okay. Well, the main thing we're going to need from you is that public involvement statement that you and I communicated on this morning. That's the main thing we need. Is that the section of the full work group report that summarizes how many people attended the meetings, what meetings outreach there were, the fact that there were open houses, all that stuff. Is this ringing the bell or not?
No, I don't think we coordinated on that part. We've provided all the information that we're going to provide. And then in addition to that, we're going to provide an analytics report as well. As far as in specific information about the meetings, I don't have that information.
Okay, we're having a flyby here. You had submitted a document a week or so ago. Millie edited that and included the open houses and the neighborhood tours. Millie, did you send that back to Corey with a request that he add the analytics?
Yes, and I think that you did send it back, Corey.
Yeah, that's where the miscommunication is. I wasn't understanding if you were wanting additional information, Sam. I think I already provided the information that you guys were looking for.
Then
the
missing information is the analytics. Then,
okay,
which is what we talked about this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we. That's what we need from you.
Yeah, we can pull analytics on all Benton County channels. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull analytics from the website, but I think Johnny's almost finished with that, and it looks like we reached about 60,000 using our Benton County channels.
Nice.
It would be great if you added the website hits to it. That report should be easily generated, at least on when I look at my stuff. So
yeah, let me see. She was having a hard time pulling that information. I'll circle back on that and see if we can do that.
Okay. All right. So here's what I was able to do today, which included the last. So anyway, unless someone has any questions for Corey, we can let him go because the rest of the stuff does not involve him directly. Okay. Thanks,
Thank
Corey.
you guys. The info you put together looks really good. I appreciate it.
Matt. All right. So here's what I was able to do today, including in between the two subcommittee calls to get us on the same page. So I'll just give you a second to read the facilitator notes there, and then I'll jump in. So the goal of all that is simply, we now have a template for the full work group report, which includes subcommittee reports that go in the appendix. It is formatted like this. It is imperative that any future edits be done using this document as the base document, so we don't have to continue updating the formatting each time a new revision comes in, especially between now and Wednesday, when I have to get out the report to the Planning Commission, SWAC, and DSAC. So what I did, and I didn't have time to put in the page numbers, but you will see, here are the absent Corey stuff. And if you could scroll down to see the whole table of contents, please. So the first document that we worked on is the land acknowledgement. Then I did a hard page break, which you'll see. I added the current draft of work group report D2, which is what you all saw on Thursday night. And that had history of Coffin Butte and main themes, but those are a timeline and the graphic, sync graphic in its current draft. The history section is what Ginger submitted before this meeting. So I had time to take that out and put it in this document. So we have every document in one place. Then subcommittee E section of the work group report is basically, for shorthand, the Mary and Louisa stuff. I reformatted your stuff to be consistent with this new format, but did not make any substantive changes to it. And then your Mary and Louisa's information also included the full report and the appendix, rather. So if you scroll down to the first section, this is Louisa's work and Mary's work from last night or something, and it included, I'll tell you when to scroll, Millie, so thank you. It starts off with what we had in our current draft, okay? And then she put in OSU's land acknowledgement, and then keep going and added the tribes, and then included what Oregon Wild did as a sample in Oregon, or the tribes, and then keep scrolling down, and then had a sample email and indigenous tribes of Benton County, and listed what they were. So we're not going to, I'm going to go over this full document one section at a time. So one of our work products, if we can get done by Wednesday at noon, is to arrive at one land acknowledgement from those that appear on those pages above. The next section is and you can scroll down, please. So this is a copy and paste of the full work group report, literally as it was during Thursday night's meeting. It's the section that includes main themes and Ginger's comments on those main themes. If you can scroll down to the end of that section, please. And then it included a timeline and her comments, and then it included a key dates graphic. So one set of work, that's it for that. One set of work, which we may or not may be able to get done, is getting as much closure on that piece of work. And that is not in, so that comes at the very beginning of the report. When I've been talking about over the last several meetings, I want a short, concise, general timeline to it gives the initial orientation to the reader of key themes for the history section and a quick overview. The next section of this body of the report is what happened this afternoon within Ginger's comments. So you can scroll down, and I literally just took and copy and pasted that in. Now, Ginger, I'm looking at this in this format. It's not clear to me that didn't you make some track changes here? So
yeah, it looks like what happened when you pasted this in is that the original text as written by Marge and Mark didn't come through. So we have no way of comparing what I wrote to what they wrote and then coming to consensus on
okay, got it.
the two versions.
Millie, go up to where it says review at the top. And tracking, right click track, and I'll show all markup. Oh, that is all markup. So, okay, so I will redo that in a few seconds here. So you will see Ginger's track changes to that. Because again, the goal is to have everything in one place. So go through all of this, Millie, to the end. I'm sorry, I've been just going ridiculously fast here. Keep going to the end of this history section. All right. Then this section is the public involvement section. And this is from the body of the work group report. So what Mary and Louisa did in the last 36 hours or so is updated their full work group report, which is the next section of what you see on the screen. Don't go there yet, Millie. All I did here is take the sections of the full subcommittee report that involved the introduction, and I copy and pasted it here because it needs to be in both places. The body of the full work group report and the full subcommittee E report. So the next two or three lines, and I added the goals and objectives. So that is what I copy and pasted from the body of the report into here. What follows then, and keep scrolling down until you see, keep scrolling down until you see key findings. That is the same. Those are the same key findings as you had previously. Now here, stop there. The table I updated from what you sent in yesterday and put it in this report. So this table is 90%. I mean, this table is almost identical to the one that came out Thursday night, but updated it with what you, Mary and Louisa, sent in. I'll call it last night because I don't remember. And so that has been updated and it's consistent with the body of the report. So continue to scroll through all the key recommendations. I then copy and pasted your conclusion from the full body of your report. So everything you see in that section is in the body of the full work group report. It also appears verbatim in the rest of the document. So Millie, I copy and paste. So then you have sub E report for the appendix. And so that is, you'll see the introduction and theme section appears there again as well. So the big point of this exercise, which I'll correct in a second, is to see that these sections are interconnected. A change in sub-E report that goes in the appendix that you make has to also simultaneously be changed up above in the body of the report. We will read here, Millie will link the findings and recommendations you saw above to the body of this report. So when you see finding 1, finding 2, finding 3, and recommendation 1, 2, or 3, you will see it'll have a hyperlink that will take you to the appendix and the body of the report. So let me pause and ask if you have any general thoughts or comments or questions about what this document does and doesn't do. Does it make sense to you? So Ginger's nodding yes. Mary, Marge, what are your thoughts?
I have a question, which is, I guess I don't understand why it's appearing in 2 places.
Because because in the body of the full work group report, as in all the other subcommittee reports, they have, and Millie, can you go up to the top of the body of the report here? All the sections of the report have a heading that says what there is, and then has this thing called introduction, and it says where the full not yet, the full subcommittee report can be found here. The full subcommittee meeting notes can be found here. That is what existed as of Thursday night. The homework that was asked of the subcommittees was to give a more detailed introduction to that section, because there will be some readers who are only going to read the 100-page work group report. Those that want to hear more will hit on the hyperlinks and go to each subcommittee's full report.
Maybe I didn't make my question clear.
Okay.
I guess I thought you were saying that the exact same text was being repeated in 2 places, but you're actually saying that a summary of what is in the main report, a summary of that appears here.
So the nuance for clarification is, because I didn't have any time, this paragraph that you see on the screen, community, and the one that follows and goals and objectives, is literally a copy and paste from the body of the report. There wasn't
that
enough
will change.
There wasn't enough time to crunch this down to a more concise summary. So whoever said Sam, go ahead.
I just have one really quick question. So this is how it would look like digitally, right? Is there going to be like a printed out copy of this somewhere? And if that is the case, then how do the links work? Do they just refer for the printout copy to like an appendix, or what's the plan for the hard copy?
We haven't figured that part out yet. For now, it's all going to be digital. The actual final product that will be printed out for the commissioners, planning commission, SWAC, DSAC, the members of the work group, will have to have a link, and perhaps the link there is to the website, the pages of where this is on the website. We haven't figured that out yet, but it will have to be so that people that have a hard copy will go to https://www. And have to have that full link laid out so they can see it. So Mary, because I think most of you and Louisa's section is in great shape for purposes of sending out on Wednesday to the Planning Commission and SWAC, with one exception, and that's what Marge just brought out. To the extent you and Louisa have time to take this section of the report, and let's find out what page that's on, Millie, because you'll send it to them. Well, it'll be a different page number, but this section of the report, okay, and condense these 3 paragraphs so that it is more like an executive summary of your introduction than it is what I had time to do, which is only copy and paste from the body of the report. So I'm just simply suggesting you take paragraph 1, paragraph 2, goals and objectives. And is there something below that, Millie? Yeah, that's it. And if you can make that a half a page versus about a page, knowing that the full meal deal is in the body of the report, we would be good to go on that.
Okay, so just to clarify, you want us to like shorten up the introduction and themes, like the first 2 paragraphs, and the goals and objectives, or just the first 2 paragraphs?
So the goals and objectives can stay as they are because they're already summarized. I think what needs to be summarized are those first 2 paragraphs. It's fine for your section for the full report in the back. It just needs to be shorter. And so it needs to be about half the size it is now. And then the goals and objectives are separate. So in other words, instead of whatever that is, like 7 inches, maybe make it 4 or 5 inches of text.
Okay, and do you want us, if we have time to do that, do you want us to send that, just a document of the shortened version?
Yeah, you can
to-
just send us, well, you could take this, put it in a new Word document, just this section here, and send it back, and we'll plug and play it.
Mhm.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Mary, did you have any more questions or requests for feedback from your colleagues based on what you and Louisa sent out yesterday?
I don't know if we had any specific like comments, but I did have 2 like quick questions or requests, if I could say those.
Go. Yeah.
So the first one is, we would really like it if the equity inclusion director could review the newest draft of our document from the county. And we also want to talk to someone from the public about tours, communication, presentations, etc., and kind of an ongoing effort for communication from the public to the community. So that's the 2 that we have so far.
Okay. On the first one, and Millie, can you look at that email communication
Yeah.
from Corey, or from me to her? And I
Mhm.
think she's on vacation until tomorrow, or maybe she works, a different schedule. She doesn't come back till tomorrow on the equity and inclusion statement. So we asked for that review.
Mhm. Yeah, Sarah. Let's see here. Um,
Sam, I think you sent her an email this morning, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought you all were copied on it.
I have it.
yeah, I'm
You have
looking
it,
at the
Mary?
one from like 8:30.
Yeah, I have it. So should I email her and ask her to review her document, or should you do that?
I already did. I already sent her.
Okay.
Millie, make a note. I thought I
Yeah.
sent her all through. all three of these statements. Maybe she only saw the initial one. So do that
Yeah.
offline.
Mhm.
So just make a note that we need to send her the first X number of pages of this document so she can review that
Yeah.
page and a half of that report, not just the one from Thursday night. I think that's all Daniel sent her initially.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then the second one, the Ginger, who should Mary call, or maybe you connect them via email on that tour stuff. So how does that work, Ginger?
Hi, it's me.
Hi.
So I start with me, Mary. I think like if you and I want to talk offline, or Louisa, or we can do it here if we have time, it doesn't matter to me. We actually, just for the group's knowledge, after we withdrew the CUP in March of 2022, I had put together an entire like kind of community outreach plan that included the availability for weekly tours at the landfill at a specified time. There was going to be a place on the website where you could sign up for the tour. They were going to be, and a couple of these I already sent to the work group early on, like worksheets and things like that. But we basically pulled all of that off the website and put it on hold at the request of the county, because they didn't want us doing our own outreach before this process was concluded, if that makes sense. So I think if we just get together and you tell me what you guys are thinking in terms of what you'd like to see, then I can facilitate that with the local team upon conclusion of the work group process. I don't think we would start the tours until the final report would be delivered to the commissioners, but like we could get going immediately after, since that was always our intent, and then we can incorporate whatever the recommendations are out of this subcommittee or the final work group as part of the whole revamped package, so to speak.
Okay, yeah. So I think I'll have to email Louisa about exactly what we want for that.
Okay.
Like what kind of tours and stuff, and then I'll email you about what we come up with.
Yeah, I think if I recall, and this kind of reaching back into my brain about a year ago, we had set the tours up to be a specific, our intention was going to be like, I know, on Thursdays at a specific time. And I think they were limited each week to like 12 because it's easier to get the vehicles in and out. But you could sign up for any time and it would be, like free to the public and stuff. So.
Okay, thank you for the information.
Currently on, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Millie, could you scroll to the top of the document, please? And so go down to the history piece section. So right there. So because of my copy and paste, not that. So yes, this part. So Marge, and I know Mark couldn't make it because he had a prior conflict here. I don't know this is going to be able to be done by Wednesday at noon for the next draft, but did you guys look at Ginger's comments to your main themes here and have any reactions, thoughts, suggestions for improvement, edits, what have you?
We were in the process of doing that, so we have not said anything about that. We're going to do that by Wednesday.
Okay. So, by Wednesday at noon, if you can get, and just blow it, and we'll put that then existing draft into the work group report that goes out Wednesday evening. Now that would be for these main themes. And then Millie, if you could scroll down and timeline, and then it's probably not time to redo this graphic, but if you wanted to blow out comments about the graphic, or if the graphic needs to be changed because you changed something above in your comment, you can simply say, also make change on graphic, similar change on graphic below.
Okay, just so I understand, it seems like the graphic and the timeline that we prepared are kind of competing documents. So are you going to leave both of them in?
It wouldn't be my intent. I mean, they'd be my intent would be, and goal is to have one timeline. And I'm inclined to have it graphic because this report has so few graphics right now that it would be a nice change of pace for the reader to do it. And I'm not sure that, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask two questions related to this and to Marge's point. So when I produced this graphic, Marge and Mark made additional suggestions about what should be in there. And I responded to each of those, and most of them I said, yes, we'll add or are already in there. And we might need to quibble at some point about the wording and how we use them. But so I can incorporate everything that they sent over in terms of timeline items into this. I guess my only question is, what's the Wednesday turnaround? Why is there that deadline? Because the work group doesn't meet again until February 23rd, right?
On Wednesday evening, the draft 3 of the work group report goes to the Planning Commission to start their review, and SWAC and DSAC to start their planning review.
I missed that step. I can try. I don't know that I'll be successful, but the changes that they want just really involve adding new years and little check boxes. So I can try to get that graphic expanded by Wednesday with the items that they had previously sent. Now, my question is, Marge, is that the same timeline that's listed above, or were those two different things?
I believe what we sent you was the timeline that we see here.
Okay. So, and then, yes,
so,
I see noted an existing timeline can add. So this is the one I should work off of, right?
And yeah, and so all the early stuff would need to be added. Native Kalapuians and early 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, because that is the history of the geography of the area, which is an important thing.
Okay, I was going to start it in the 1940s when the landfill actually came into being, since we have a written section, like several written sections about the history of the area, but we can put it in and see how it works. We can always take it out later if it doesn't make sense.
That's my recommendation, is that you take the text version of this that starts with timeline, Coffin Butte, Native Kalapuians, and then goes all the way down. And so we have, and then we would, for now, we would take out the Word version of the timeline and move it into a graphic. And then, and if we could get that out by noon on Wednesday, we can, find the I dot T cross, what have you later, but we don't need both. I just put them in there for last Thursday's review because that's what I saw and wanted a complete list.
Okay, so is the agreement that we will add the items on our list that do not appear on your list to your graphic?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just having like small minor palpitations because I have like a very severe case of OCD, and like early 1700s doesn't fit on my, in my mind. How I visually describe a timeline. I think it's literally just me having like an issue with the graph.
Oh, I see. It doesn't fit nicely into the 4-character format you
and
have.
I get weird about things like that. I don't know why.
Okay, well, we'll get you help for that later. It involves group
Like, there's not
therapy.
a year for native Californians, and so I don't know what to do with it. It makes me all like Twitter pated. I don't.
Well,
Is
you,
there a way to do it like before this line here? Like, cause it's everything pre. So you could just do it like here as its own thing, and then you can start with the 1700s. Maybe there's a way to do that.
Yeah, I'll yeah,
We'll find a way. We'll find a way.
It's like Old Testament and New Testament, and I'm having challenges, so it's okay. I'll figure it out.
okay,
I don't want to derail us, but I do want to clarify here is the kind of like the orangey flow chart that was sent out for the last couple of days. How does that interact with this green one that
So
we have
that is
here?
basically on this timeline, the period that is between 19, like it would be 1970 to 1974. It's like its own breakout, in other words. So I think one of the suggestions that, Marge and Mark had was to add something, a little more detail between the 1960s and the 1970s, or 1974 about like the waste disposal history of the time. So that would be a couple of new bullets on this. But the orange timeline was really like designed to almost be, how like a detail on a map where you like zoom into a part that's really critical. It's like a breakout of like 1970 to 1974, because there was a significant amount of public debate, back to the drawing table, political involvement in actually designating Coffin Butte as a regional landfill. It went from being listed for phase out and closure to, in the span of about 2 years, being the preferred site. And so it really just kind of drills down in a visual way, like the steps that led to that. That's what it's designed to do.
But the same could be said of almost any other 4-year period here, is that you could drill down on it and you could add a lot of detail. I don't think that agreement is that important in the timeline of the whole.
let me take a look at Ginger.
landfill.
Can you pull it up by
Here.
chance?
I can share it.
Okay,
I mainly put it in there just because there's been a lot of discussion and a lot of debate since we filed the CUP and then throughout this process as to whether like how Coffin Butte became designated as a regional landfill, given the history of the area, the geological factors that Marge and Mark have previously represented, the issue of the percentage of trash coming in from Benton County versus other counties, which is tied to its designation as a regional landfill. And so I thought this was to me a very interesting sort of oversight in a visual way of how Coffin Butte came to be a regional landfill, which is what it is defined as today. Marge is right. There is some fascinating history of this area going back 60, 70 years at least. And you could pick, and maybe we find another 4-year period that we think is also very interesting and worth pulling out and graphically. This is just one I did because Coffin Butte and its regional landfill designation has been such an underlying theme throughout our deliberations from the very beginning.
I agree that it has been, but I also think that its designation as a regional landfill is that the importance of that is overemphasized. And I think that pulling something out like this and putting it in a graphic overemphasizes the importance. I think that if you wanted to add something to the paragraphs that we've written that add some of the information that you put on this graphic, I wouldn't have any objection to it. But I bridle at having this small section of history put in a graphic. And I just think it puts it out of context. I think it overemphasizes the historical importance.
So I'm thinking out loud because I am, as you can tell, just bouncing off the walls in the very moment here. Can you go down to the bottom? What's the last entry on this so I can see the last entry?
I have a typo, several delays.
No, we're about typos. So I do think maybe it's already in there. At a minimum, that May 74 entry changed so it's clearer what is the planning decision they upheld. Be added to that pre-existing chart if it's not already there. So at some point, it seems reasonable. Well, where does it say regional landfill in this thing?
And up at the top. So in the 1970 to 1972, it was to cite a regional landfill after this board was.
Right, but was there a actual, going back to the bottom, was there actually a board decision that said we hereby ordain ourselves a regional landfill?
So yes and no. In the Benton County Planning Commission decision in March 1974, they
Yes,
had to approve the CUP that allowed the landfill to expand. That was the local government step required to make it a regional landfill. It had already been listed as the preferred site, but it could not become as such until the Benton County Planning Commission said, okay, we're gonna use these 100 acres to expand the landfill as part of this process. So that's what the actual land use decision was, a CUP.
well, so all I'm suggesting here, just to get us through Wednesday,
Mhm.
all my focus tonight is just getting us to be able to go to sleep on Wednesday night with a drink in hand and fight the good fight after that, is I could see so Millie, could you go back up to the existing squirrely?
The green one,
I don't remember the color, but just the squirrely
big
one
one.
that you had.
they're both swirly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I feel squirrely tonight myself. That's a different definition. So in there, if there was simply and that was 1974, oh, you have it already. It's already there.
Well, no, these are, so 1974 there are like 4 things in that other timeline that happened in 1974. On this one, it's just like one item saying it's designated as a regional landfill. The other one basically says the report designated as such, then the Benton County Planning Commission did the CUP. There were 2 public hearings. This was the result of that. Then the Board of Commissioners upheld the planning commissioner thing, and that's when it was done. So it's much more detailed about this 1972 to 74 process, essentially.
Okay.
But I'm saying that the actual event probably doesn't deserve that amount of pulling out and shining a light on it. I think that if you wanted to say something like that in a brief paragraph, I'd have no objection to it. But seeing it in a graphic pulled out like that, I just think it's uneven.
Okay, so I'm just thinking out loud to see if we can break through this. Is my point of saying that there is a 1974 box saying that there's a regional landfill is in essence the last 2 slides of the document we looked at a second ago. The orange one is, as Millie calls it.
Yep.
I think you can take the text in those boxes on the orange one and turn them into sentences and suggest it be placed in the section of the history document where it fits chronologically. And let's take a look at that, because that's all we're going to be able to agree on between not there in this history document, wherever the 1974 thing comes into play.
And you can't tell on this version because we've lost my line edits, but there
I'm
is,
gonna get that up in a second.
okay.
In fact,
There
I'm
is
gonna ask
text
you.
that there. I was just trying to break up the text, but you know,
So it would go in here.
It would just go in there somewhere.
But I do want to say one other thing, which is that I've had about 10 minutes to look at Ginger's document. I know it was released an hour ago or 2 hours ago, but I didn't see it. I mean, I'm sure this will come as an amazing thing to you, but I'm just not on my email constantly. And so I've had very little time to see this. Mark has probably had none, because he told us in the last meeting that he would not be able to come tonight at this time, but we did not find another time that would have worked for him. And I'm just, what I can see about Ginger's document is that it's quite extensive, that
Right.
her additions are numerous and her subtractions are substantive. And what I would say is that, and I have no idea, Mark, I'm fairly sure, hasn't looked at this at all. But looking at it, if you put this into the document that goes out to the Planning Commission and to the SWAC, then I would like my name removed.
Time out. We're having a flyby, and we're not to that topic yet at all. It's not going to be as bad as you're fearing here. So, what I said in the beginning of the conversation is, when I copy and pasted this Ginger's document into this, it was my intent to include and show all of the track changes. And I said that during this meeting, or right after this meeting, I will go in and fix that. So what you're going to see in place of what's on your screen there is literally Ginger's document. It's your base with her comments. And so the narrow point we're focusing in on now is to solve your concern, March, that the orange graphic gives too much attention to the regional designation.
Yeah, to a rather trivial.
I get it. The solution to that, which was part of your suggestion, was for Ginger to take the text of those things and reduce it to a paragraph or so, and it would go in between, in there somewhere in the actual document that she track changed. So I was just solving that problem for now. We will get to this thing, this whole meal deal, in a minute.
and I think, Marge, what I can do that would help, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, is on the green key dates timeline. I can just adjust the text to be more reflective of what we're trying to get at. And
in that one area, or you mean throughout?
well, it's going to be throughout, but that would be one of the changes, one of the many changes, because I have to incorporate everything from your timeline in there too. That's not already in there. So,
okay. So when you say that you'll incorporate our timeline,
yes.
Will you do it leaving our text in place, or will you edit our text?
I'm looking guidance for that. I mean, I think in most cases, the text is fine. I mean, there are a couple of places I think where I had a couple of word tweaks, but I can just leave it as is for now and we can come back and like mess with it later. Like if we're just trying to get an early version from it, you know, and we're not, and we agree that it's not final and we're going to make tweaks and adjustments throughout, then I can just put it in as is.
Yeah, why don't you put it in as is?
Okay.
I mean, because we can do, we can come to terms later about if we feel we need to reduce it. And it'll probably have what, 50 items or 60 items on it.
Yeah.
When you add everything.
You scroll
So
down for just a second. And no, scroll back up, like, so I can see the second half of the timeline.
I mean, some of them are pretty much the same as what you have, but
Yeah, I think the only two that I have kind of an issue with in terms of the way the language is right now is this 1999 entry, because as I noted in the document, it's already in the timeline, albeit with different languages or different language, text language. But as I noted in the red line document that I did, the sourcing that you and Mark provided for that paragraph did not include the language that was the largest fire in the history of Oregon. So I think the sourcing came from someone else.
I agree that it did not.
So that one would be and then the only other one, and this I mentioned in the red line document as well, is mathematically, when you're doing percent increase, the doubling verbiage, I don't believe is correct. And I did the math in the red line document, but I think if you go from 2016 to 2017, it's like like that number there, that 941 is an increase of 66.63%. So I think there's a tweak that needs to be made just on the math on that.
Okay, so you're arguing with the word roughly.
I'm arguing with the word doubles.
Okay.
Because I think it's more
right. And so what I'm saying is that it nearly doubles, or what we're saying is it nearly doubles, but you're saying
yeah, I would just rather use the percentage.
Just say rose. Annual intake tonnage rose from 553,000 to 941,000. Okay. I'd be fine with that.
Okay, those were the only two that leapt out at me in terms of like wanting to talk about the language. So everything else in here is I can do just as is, and if we decide to tweak it later, we can.
Yeah, I'd be in favor of that.
One thing that would be helpful is, I think it's the 1983 one. And I'll see it here. Is it possible to get the names of those counties? I just think it would be a nice detail to put in, because those counties could be everywhere.
Okay, I don't have that at the moment. But let me do some research on that. Okay. Now, when do
we can leave it out for the version that goes to the Planning Commission on Wednesday. I'm just saying, like, ultimately, it would probably be nice to have that information.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Marge, you know where I think you can find it is in the legal subcommittee report, in that work that Mark Yeager and Catherine and Ed Patera and Jeff Condon and all of them did. In that section, they go through each of the major land use decisions. And if you look just to the 1983 one, I'm almost positive it says this county, that county, and the other county.
Yeah.
It might be a quick, easy way to find it.
Okay.
I'm not saying you need to do that by Wednesday, but I'm just saying when you get to it, that might be the quickest way to find it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
All right, so the plan here then is, Ginger, you will rework, you will merge these into a sort of one treatment with those two changes. And then we'll plug and play that. So, and then we can take out these comments these comments, okay, here's Louisa in a second. Got her in here. Hey, Louisa, welcome. Welcome, Louisa. Still can't hear you.
Sorry, I had 6:30 on my calendar.
No problems. We'll catch you up here in a second. So I think what we can do is then, Ginger, you can clean up these comments.
Yep.
Because a lot of them will become moot, and to the extent, and there's going to be a difference between what they look like here than in the actual history document. So to the extent you can clean up these comments when you do this new treatment, then we don't have to have all those floaty comments there, and then we can save these issues for the meat of the history.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Hang on. So Ginger, you're going to give the stuff the treatment that we've talked about, and you're also going to change some of the text from that orange timeline into a couple of sentences to put into the body of that history portion.
Yeah.
You're trying to do that before Wednesday, maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
So the
Sorry,
plan
Sam.
that when this is submitted on Wednesday, the
Like by noon.
revised text from the orange, like one of the orange boxes would be included in here, as well as anything that is omitted currently that is on March and Mark's timeline as noted above. And it will all be in one place.
Right.
Yes. And then the earlier parts of that orange timeline that kind of went in a little deeper, revised to be in the corresponding section.
That's
Of-
already in there.
Okay. Perfect. Just wanted to be clear on what we were trying to get from you for Wednesday.
Yeah. I mean, I think like, I thought, so let me just preface this by saying, I personally thought like Temkita was, if I'm saying that right, was an interesting thing to pull out because it is sort of the basis of how we got there. That said, I understand that Mark is uncomfortable with it, and I'm more than willing to have a conversation about like we leave that flow chart out and we do what we're talking about doing here. As a general guiding principle and rule, I think it would be beneficial to the entire work group if this subcommittee could look for opportunities within the text to do graphics or timelines or flowcharts or bar charts or however the heck we want to do it, just to break up the text, because it's very, it draws the reader in better. And so if, the one that I produced, that's the orange graphic, is not the one that the subcommittee wants to go with, then I do think we should be looking for opportunities while we have time over the next 5 weeks to find a couple of things that we can put in graphic form.
Okay, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Which is that we add the map that you had in your original document, that we add that map to this.
Are you talking about the parcel ownership one? Because there were a couple of maps in there.
There was a document where there was a map and a picture of the schoolhouse. And I'm saying that why don't you add that map?
Okay, so and that's totally fine. I know what you're talking about. In that document, there's actually 2 maps. So I just am wondering which one you're talking about.
Okay. I
one
was
basically is one that we produced that shows like the active working phase. It's got the boundaries of the landfill. The other one is the one that the county produced that I believe is in the Site Life Subcommittee, because that's where I pulled it from, that has like highlighted tracks basically showing like property purchases and tax records and things like that.
Okay.
So It sounds like
Let-
you're talking about the first one, but I just wanted to clarify there were two in there.
Well, let me jump in here. I think the schoolhouse photo is great, and that should be put in. These maps for this go round, the capacity subcommittee has all of these maps in there already. And that's where the explanatory text for each of these things goes. So I'm concerned that the map here is duplicative of what the other subcommittee is doing, and this doesn't have the context that the other does. Now, if there's a general map or something, you know, more of a picture sort of thing that you can add, great. But frankly, I'm not worried about any of that until after we get out the Wednesday evening draft, because we have
Yeah,
graphics
I
people at
agree.
the county that have all kinds of stock images. And like, for instance, I'm going to be wanting to put in pictures from the neighborhood tour, pictures from the landfill tour. That's going to help, you know, graphically, as well as something that looks like this versus just line after line of text. So let's just try to triage what we can
Okay.
accomplish. Louisa.
Sam, were you the mediator for the project that you had Mary and I read? Or
Yes.
whatever it was, the wildlife or wildfire people?
Yeah, the WUI. Yes.
So if Ginger looked at that, maybe she could see kind of, I mean, it's really looks great, and maybe that would help her see what, I mean, I'm guessing that's what we'll do in the end, is something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. So I gave you guys a sample report. I don't remember when. Millie can send it out again tonight or
Yeah,
tomorrow
please
morning.
send it out again.
Yeah, and it's not the best thing, because frankly, we did most of it in-house, and we're not, you know, we don't have WordPress or those fancy program PageMaker and all that stuff, but the county does, and will do that kind of treatment throughout. But that's down the road. So what? So Louisa, in a nutshell, the committee unanimously agreed, including Mary, that your entire section needs to be rewritten by 1:30 tomorrow morning, which is the time when you usually send in stuff at 1:30 or 2:30 in the morning. God love you.
Well, this is recorded, so I can't do anything.
Alternatively, we thought
You can put it in the chat, Louisa. Nobody will see the chat.
Yeah.
Oh no, the chat's saved too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Alternatively, we said it was in really good shape, and there was just one offline assignment that Mary will talk to you about offline, which is just about doing a shorter introduction for the body of the report from the introduction of your main report. And that you'll see an email that I sent out, which has all of this in one place, and it'll be updated afterwards. So now we have to go to the big deal, and so Ginger, Millie, can you stop share? And Ginger, can you share your screen on the document you sent out late this afternoon or mid-afternoon? I don't remember when it was.
Yeah, hang on.
It sounds like you're feeling a little better. Are you, or is it?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I still had the faint pink COVID line on the yesterday, but I'm going to test tomorrow and see if it's finally gone. So
Fingers crossed.
yes. Okay. So share. Let me make sure I've got the right one up here. Okay. Share screen. And okay. Can everybody see this now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you can make it a little bigger for us, and then we'll widen our screens too.
Okay, make it bigger. How do I do that?
Lower right, you see a slider from 0 to 100.
Got it. Boop. That might be a little too big.
Okay. So
No.
this is, Marge, getting back to your legitimate concern there. This is what I intended to copy and paste. I copied it, but apparently when I pasted it, I hit the wrong paste of the 3 options, and it came as though they were accepted, which was never my intent. So this is the whole meal deal. As you clearly stated earlier, neither you nor anyone other than Ginger has had time to review this as it is. I think, given our deadline, there is any option but to do what we did last time, which is copy and paste this in to the history section of the report that goes out to the Planning Commission and SWAC DSAC, because it's not going to happen, right? Mark's busy. We have a deadline. A lot of stuff is in here, needs to be looked at and double checked. So I don't think we have a chance of doing it.
Right.
So that's why I kept this for last, because I don't think there's anything we can do to work it, if you will, in between now and Wednesday at noon. Reactions from folks?
I defer to the group at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how we're going, this, as you can see, this is substantive. And, were you just to accept this, I would need to remove my name from it.
We're not doing that. That never was the
Okay.
intent. Never
Okay.
was the intent. Never was the intent. This is,
But if
this
you
is,
want to publish it like this, I have no objection to that.
I think, thank you. I think that's what we have to do. That's, we did a version of this before, and this is now evolved since Thursday's meeting. And, it'll look like this.
Yeah, our version had been available for some time.
Well, I mean, I got it last night. Your version I got last night. So, I mean,
yes, but you made very substantive corrections to what, beyond the comments that you made to the version that we presented a week or so ago. You made, this represents almost a rewrite, where what you had presented before were comments, and we answered all your comments.
I understand that, but my point is, this is and this is just me having a little bit of, I think, heartburn, but I really felt like at the work group presentation, I was kind of thrown under the bus a little bit initially, because it was very much presented like, you blindsided us with these comments. And I, apologized during that meeting for not getting comments to people in a timely fashion, but there was no reflection of the fact that I've been sick for almost 2 weeks. And so I felt like that was a very adversarial approach that was taken in the work group meeting. And what I was able to provide in time for the work group meeting was what I gave previously. Then from that document and what you submitted last night, I have been doing nothing but for the past 3 days, all weekend and today, doing a deep dive into line by line sourcing, fact checking, and going through and reviewing newspaper articles. So that's what you received today. That is the result of 3 solid days of work trying to go through the document line by line, when I actually felt up to it and had the ability to do it.
I want to ask you though, what made you feel adversarial?
The way that it was presented in the work group meeting during Mark's presentation, that I sort of just like dropped these comments on you guys at the last second, and there had been, no previous discussion about how, you didn't get feedback from me, and then all of a sudden you got this feedback and there were all these comments and you responded to them. And it made me feel very much like you drop the ball, then you come in at the last minute and drop a whole bunch of things on us, and we're running around trying to answer them. And, you need to be more of a participant from the beginning. That was how it felt to me listening to it.
I can, well, I hear you saying how you felt, and I sure can't argue with you on that. All I can say is that it wasn't meant that way, and I didn't hear it that way. I think we feel, I think we felt, and perhaps you also feel, that we've had a very short time to actually accomplish this. We got our assignment in the middle of December, and we said what we were going to, we thought we said what we were going to do to the work group and to everyone. And we thought that everybody said, fine, that's a great, go ahead. Then we spent a whole lot of work, time and effort, and we presented something. And then we had almost no time to, to talk back and forth about this, where the other subcommittees have had, weeks and weeks to have the kind of dialogue that we're having now.
No, I think that's a really fair point, Marge. And I'm not trying to suggest that you and Mark haven't put an incredible exhaustive effort into this. I know that you have, and I know how many source documents you've looked at. I'm just saying, when I hear comments like in the work group meeting, and then just a second ago, like, we provided this a while ago and you're just getting this, like, I feel like I'm working as fast as I can to try to get feedback, but I also feel like I want to do due diligence to it, right? And so, I very much appreciate the effort. My goal is not to do an overarching rewrite. I just want to get us to a point where we're all comfortable. And maybe we won't be able to accomplish that, but I think the dialogue that we're having now is important. And I think you're right. We didn't have an opportunity to have a lot of that until the last couple of weeks.
Right.
This has really been a January, evolution of what we're doing.
Yeah. No, we haven't had a chance to have dialogue before the very last minute. And
I agree.
Yeah. However, there's no way that I can respond to what you have presented here.
No, and no one is expecting that or asking that at all. I mean, so a couple of thoughts here, and I'm thinking out loud about this. I sent out an email last week, I think it was, laying out the evolution of the scope of this document. And Ginger, can you shut this down, and Millie, put up the document we started with today, and I'll tell you where to go.
I also just want to note, Louisa did put a comment in the chat.
I will get her. Yeah, I promise to get you, Louisa.
You want me to pull up the document that you created, Sam?
Yes, please.
Okay, where do you want me to go?
To the top where I put, the first time the scope appears.
Scope.
So keep going down past the land acknowledgement and past
Main themes.
History.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Hang on. Eventually we'll get there.
Right there. Oops.
No, that's the intro. You want objectives and goals?
No, it's nothing that this was written beforehand, right there. So, okay, I'm just saying this as context. I still, as I said in that email I sent, I think there's a way out of this box. But the this charge that appears on this page started off our December process. A general history directed at public and those new to the issue, not as detailed as initial draft, narrative more than table of newspaper articles. Other historical details will appear in the capacity and CUP reports for cross-referencing. So that was part of the work plan that we started with. This is, and I'm not arguing this, I'm setting the context to make a point. What has happened since then is from those 4 bullets, A through D, the scope has expanded. I'm not making a value judgment on that. It has expanded to include a deeper history and all kinds of things about terrain and what have you. What got presented, as I addressed previously at the December meeting, I do not think it's fair to say that the work group said, yes, absolutely, that's good to go, because wasn't much more detailed than this. Without actually seeing the various documents, it's hard for them to truly assess that which we have been discussing in the last 2 or 3 meetings. The reality is the document looks like it looks now. Ginger's edits, to the extent, I had 45 seconds to review at them, appears to be adding other aspects of the history and story. How accurate, inaccurate, I make no judgment, because hell, I haven't even read them. I am speaking bluntly. If you guys can agree on a history document that is fuller than what appears under this charge, A through D, even though it will be outside of the Board of Commissioners approved scope, I'm likely to recommend to them that they find that to be okay. But if we can't do that, then I'm going to have to go to them and say, we have these 2 different versions of what this history piece should look like, A and B. What do you want? What do you want to do? And I will ask more directly the work group, what do they want to do? And present it up so everyone has a fair shot at making their best arguments for doing it. I think that, and this is getting to Louisa's chat, which says, could a third party, not me, look at both groups of information and write something that looks at both or tries to reconcile them? I am suggesting that while we'll get this out Wednesday at noon, or I'll get it out Wednesday in the evening, that will give time for Marge and Mark to respond to Ginger's comments. And we can take a look at
Wednesday.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. We will then look at that and see how close we are. I will probably suggest that I then take those 2 documents, and I'm going to write something that I think could get you to yes, both of you, and that I don't have to take to the board to get their approval. You can look at that and accept or reject it. But that is what I have done in the other subcommittees on several issues, and we'll be doing next week on the the capacity issue, because they're having some of the similar challenges that this group is, not on the scope. Well, it's a scope issue in some ways, but it's more a level of detail, what goes in and what goes out. And that's why I suggest we move this on. But arguments about work, what the charge is, what it should be. We've had those in the beginning of this process, and I'd like to avoid having them this time. The only way to avoid having them again is if you guys can agree on a draft. And maybe we'll get there after Mark and Marge has a chance to read Ginger's comments. But speaking candidly, I'll be surprised because you're coming at it from two different voices. So it may need that extra mediative attempt to bring you together and work from that. So that's my half-formed or malformed plan, in the coming 2 weeks. Thoughts, reactions, mediator jokes, anything about that, or another suggestion to get to yes?
I'm willing to try it.
Yeah, me too. To try what you suggested, that Mark and I will review Ginger's changes and respond.
And we'll see where we're at.
And then what is the deadline for that? What is the target time for that?
Let me look at, and the other thing is to respond with using track changes.
Excuse me?
Your reply to Ginger's comments need to be in track changes and blown out comments below, so we can see then what you two actually did. And then there's an easy way on the screen to hide track changes, and you could see what it would read like. That's what happened in my transfer a few minutes ago. But it can't be a new clean draft without the ability to see what you did to her suggested sections, and vice versa.
Mark is much more facile at this process than I am. So maybe he can view your comments now, or maybe he can call you or maybe maybe it'll just be obvious to him how to do that when I describe to him what you said. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he can call me. I mean, I would be surprised if he didn't know how to use track changes, given his professorial.
Yeah, that he would be able to respond, make a response for us that kept the context, so that we could see this is what we said, this is what Ginger said, now this is what we say. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's all in one place. Then when we get, the question then is Mary and Louisa's opportunity to comment. Does that happen now? None of this is happening before Wednesday. So no one worry about anything happening before Wednesday other than what we talked about. So the question is, do we suggest that Mark, Marge do a next draft and then have Louisa and Mary comment on that, and then Ginger sees all three of your all four of your comments, and then we have the draft to look at? Or do we do all four at the same time? So is it Mark and Marge, then to Louisa and Mary, or is it all four at the same time? And Louisa and Mary, I'll leave it to you. Which would you prefer to do? Because this is going to be I mean, I can see this taking a good 5 hours of Louisa and Mary's time to read that. Well, when you get into it, you're going to see.
I saw that.
The first one took, I think it took me 2 or 3 hours when I read it the first time and did that. So I see what you're saying. Maybe we should wait till they're Marge and Mark look at it.
And yeah, I mean, and nothing stops you from reading it as it is today, so.
All right, that's right. So Marge, looking at this schedule here, well, part of it is really your availability. I'll tell you what the perfect world is, recognizing we're not living in a perfect world. Is that you would have something to us so that we could review it at our next week's meeting.
At
In other words, a
our
week.
subcommittee, our
Subcommittee meeting. In other words,
and we assume that'll be on Monday.
do we have that scheduled, Millie, for next Monday,
No.
the 30th? But we would schedule it, same time, same place, 5 to 6:30 on the 30th.
Unless
So in a
everybody's
perfect-
busy. Yeah, Ginger.
I will not be able to make it next Monday. My daughter has a gymnastics meet out of state and I will
Oh,
not be
How fun.
with her.
super
Well, I
fun.
will be with her, not with you. I choose her over you. Sorry.
What?
We're wounded.
Well, let's look at Tuesday.
Tuesday would be better because I'll be driving back and I can adjust my drive time to be here on Tuesday if that works for the rest of the group.
So that would be Tuesday,
31st.
the 31st.
Here's the problem with that is the planning commission, which I need to be at, is the 31st from 7 to gosh knows when.
Yeah. And I have class Tuesday night, so I can't run
Right.
either.
So what if, I'm just brainstorming here, what if Marge and Mark got their new version to us by noon on Monday? And then,
On Monday, the 30th, and then we'll decide when to have a meeting.
well, we're going to decide now when to have the meeting, and then then we shoot for maybe Wednesday to have the
Wednesday.
meeting, because then that will give a day and a half to Louisa and Mary and Ginger to see that draft, so that almost the sole purpose of our Wednesday meeting would be to see how close we can get together. So it's
Like
like
Wednesday, February 1st, right?
Yes.
I think that's right. Yes. So what do your dance cards look like on February 1st?
I have a couple of things on my schedule, but I can move anything around to accommodate the group on Wednesday.
I can't meet till after 5:15.
So why don't we do 5:30 to 7 on the 1st? Millie, does that work for your cat?
Yeah, should be fine. Sorry, he
Alright.
had a rough day at the vet today. So when he came in asking for cuddles, I conceded.
Okay.
No, it's not
I'll
very
need to leave
professional.
that Meeting probably 10 to 15 minutes early. Just because I'll have to, that's 8 o'clock our time and I've got kids who sports practices end. Need to go pick them up.
So say that again. When will you be there?
I can be there from like 5:30 to about 10 minutes before the meetings end. I'll have to get
Oh,
offline
okay.
about 10 to 15
Well,
minutes.
let's just set it. Let's just set it for an hour and 15 minutes, because we're not going to be able to make progress unless we have a person from DePaul at the meeting. No one got
And
that?
we're assuming that Mark will be available.
Yeah.
And
Yes, of course. It's important that he be at this next
Yeah,
meeting.
I
So we'll have to
agree.
have to accommodate his schedule too.
So February 1st, Wednesday at 5:30.
5:30 to 6:45.
Okay.
I just have a comment, which is that I am unable to see the document as Millie put it on the Zoom. So I don't know. I'm gonna need some help here. We don't have to do it now, but if I can't figure out how to do that, then maybe
Yeah.
I could call Millie and
Yeah, or call me. What are you seeing or not seeing, Marge?
Do you want to share
Uh,
your
I-
screen?
say what?
You can share your screen.
Right now, we
Oh.
can see what it looks like.
Yeah, but I don't know how to do that.
So do you have the document open?
Yes.
Okay, so then click on Zoom and you see the panel of 6 pictures.
Yeah,
Okay, at the bottom center, there should be like a green box that says share screen.
yeah.
Click on
okay.
it and then click on the window that you want to share. So it's that document.
Okay. See,
Okay, that's the piece that you don't see because I haven't, that's the old version that I screwed up.
oh,
But the
didn't you?
comments aren't even showing on her version.
That's because this is still in the Gmail preview. I'm used to Google Docs too, Marge. So
Oh,
this is what my
sorry.
stuff usually. No, don't
Okay.
apologize. What you'll do
Okay.
is you'll just download the document and then open it
Okay.
up on your
I did do
computer.
that. I did do that. Now, wow, I'm totally lost here now.
It's okay. Oh, so go
Okay,
down to the
got it.
bottom of your screen and you see in that bottom bar on the bottom left, it says right there, sub E work product doc.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I, the thing is, I have it already downloaded. I just shared the wrong thing.
Oh, gotcha.
So let's see, is this it? Yeah.
Haha.
See, so I'm seeing Ginger's comments, but I'm not seeing all the red lines.
And
That's-
you will have a document from me in about 30 minutes.
Oh, that
will
has
have that will have all of the track changes
Okay.
and her
Okay.
comments.
Okay.
Hey, Marge, were you able to see the red lines in the email that I sent directly? The document I sent directly?
You know, not in the same way at all.
Okay.
Well, that
Yeah.
would be interesting. Let's do that. That will be the true test. So open up that email, please, Marge, and then open up that document that she's referring to, your version of it. And then let's see what it looks like, because
Okay.
that's the problem.
Okay, hold on. Which one, which email, Ginger? Okay, I think I see it. Okay.
Sorry, my dog is
So,
going crazy.
and I'm not gonna
Why?
open, I'm gonna say, oh,
Oh,
come on. It's not giving me the
Go
the
ahead
download.
and stop screen sharing.
Oh,
So
okay.
you'll have an
Am I
option.
screen sharing?
You are,
Yeah.
but we can only see the Word document right now because that's the only window you shared. So go ahead and stop screen sharing.
You have to tell her how to do that.
Okay, there should be, or here, I'll just.
You are screen sharing. I want to stop. Stop share. I see it. Okay,
Okay.
got it. I don't
Okay,
think this is a good example. I don't think I'm going to be a good candidate.
You know what? Millie and I will stay on with you. I think as the rest of you, unless you have any other last minute comments or suggestions for their overall process, you can, eat dinner, have a drink. Not you, Mary, but well, go ahead. It's up to you and your parents. Ginger.
this is not related to the subcommittee, but this is a planning question that I have. Is the February work group meeting starting at 1 o'clock as well, or just the March work group meeting? Because I'm
would
trying to
be-
look for flights.
Right now, it's the March one
Okay.
that could end. But depending on what this looks like, in a couple weeks, I may have to have 2 long meetings.
So
The
it's a
February and the March.
tentative March only. But
Right now, March, it's tentative for March, and it may become a reality for both March and February. If we can't, in other words, if we can't get all this resolved, then we're going to have longer meetings in February and March, longer work group meetings.
Okay,
If we get
that's just
the more
helpful information
consensus,
if I'm trying to look at flights, so.
right. The more, the more consensus we have, the shorter the meetings will be. Ha, my.
Way to incentivize.
No, and exactly, right?
yeah,
Karen,
Louisa.
Dick?
Well, and this is not about the work group, it's kind of the same thing. So I was looking, so what's happening in March as far as what do we have to be at? Because that's like when I'm going on vacation.
Ooh.
And
for the
probably a
last
lot of
meet-
people are at spring break.
No,
So-
February. nothing in March. The only thing in, well, the
Yeah, that
earliest,
said like some
I'll tell
things
ya.
do blah, blah, blah.
I have to get the final report to the board on March 24th. The soonest the work group would be making a presentation to the board about their process, and the board would have a work session to discuss it with you, would be March 28th. But
Okay, because I
reality,
plan to be back by then. Do we have to be there?
no, it would be voluntary for those those work group members that want to present to the whole board. But it's not in real likelihood, it's probably not going to be to April. And my preferred date for the committee work group to present to the board, wait for it, April 1st. Huh? Good. April Fool's Day.
You didn't have to clarify that it was April Fool's. We got it.
From given my
It's a
brain,
weekend though.
I'm just
That's part of the
We got it.
joke.
We got it, Sam.
yeah. I'm just hoping for any reinforcement at all. All right, you guys go forth. Marge, Millie, and I will stay on. We're going to figure this out for you, Marge.
Okay,
Ciao.
All right,
bye.
bye.
Okay, let me first find, okay, so what I'm supposed to do is download Ginger's. Okay, so let me go back to my email. And okay, Ginger. Okay, great. I am able to do that. And then okay, and I'll say enable editing. Okay, now let me get back to you guys and screen share screen,
All right.
which would be this share. Okay, so this is what I see, but see,
Okay,
the
I'll
red
tell you
one.
what's going on. I can show you what's going on. So now go up to review in the blue bar at the top where it says review.
Oh, gosh, let me see if I can move this. Okay, I can. Okay, review. Okay.
Double click that. Now go where it says simple markup in the upper right. Keep going over.
Yeah.
Up
Okay.
there.
All
Down
markup.
menu. All markup.
Yes.
Hey.
Okay. Yay.
So you don't know what
gonna
you don't
save.
know, and then
Yeah, I'm gonna save that.
So now you can see it in living color.
Yes, yes, I
Yeah.
can. Yes, I can. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the share. And thank you for that tip. And I will bring Mark up to date.
thank you.
And we can go on.
And I'll
Keep
be
on
around.
trucking.
I'll be around.
Yeah.
I have almost my entire week this week is devoted to this. So I'll have available time if we want to have a 3-way conference call or whatever you and E need, just send up a flare.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay.
Take care. Have a good evening,
Okay,
everyone.
okay,
Millie, see you tomorrow
bye.
morning.
Bright and early.
Right, ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.